and welcome back to Council Watch. I had rather hoped the need for these videos would get a bit less because people were starting to behave a bit better, but yesterday was just a bit of a cock-up all round really. The first thing this meeting has to do, as it's brand new for the year, is elect a chair. Didn't go quite according to one person's plan.
So, good evening. This is the meeting of the Parks and Open Spaces Subcommittee. First item of business is to appoint the chair of the Parks and Open Spaces Subcommittee. Any nominations, Councillor Ray? Yeah, can we have a seconder? Councillor Pitsey seconding. Any other nominations? Councillor Appensberger?
Could I nominate Elise Youngman, please?
Yeah, a seconder for Councillor Youngman, Councillor Pearce. So any other nominations? So we'll take the vote in the order that the nominations were made. So you could have votes in favour of Councillor Brooks, please. So that's 3 in favour of Councillor Brooks. And for Councillor Youngman? 3. We've got a tie. Because usually the chair would use their casting votes. So, yes, you have. Did you say you're happy to be deputy chair? Oh, you are the deputy chair. Yeah. No. No. Yeah. No.
No, but Norman. Yeah.
There's no post holders. They all stood down ahead of the OGM.
Well, can I say something? Can I, Lauren? In my favour, I was a very good chair of parks. I think I was very fair, and I looked at the town as a whole, not just particular parks. We had well-attended committees. I shared the draft agenda, and I'd carry on in a very similar way. So I ask for you to put aside their personal prejudices and think about the good of the town and the good of, we want decent people, good people chairing our committees.
Yeah, well, I welcome any proposal to put aside personal prejudices, but that applies to all of us. I think as it's tied down the middle and we've got no chair to exercise a casting vote, I think the election of the chair needs to go over to the next meeting, and we just need to elect someone to preside over this evening's meeting.
A good person to chair committees considering I chaired aid. Then you said about being the deputy when I was deputy of parks, and I never got the deputy of parks last time when I wanted it, and you can grin all you like, Wendy.
I'm willing to chair this meeting.
Yeah, so we'll need nomination, so you can self-nominate. So we'll need a seconder for Councillor Brooks then to preside over the meeting. Councillor Pearce. So we'll have to open it up to any other nominations. We might find ourselves in the same position again. But
I set out on this one, it's just going to be tied again.
Yeah. So Councillor Pearce, go ahead.
So I propose Bernie to chair this evening's meeting.
And a seconder for Councillor Appensberger. Yeah, Councillor Youngman. So we'll need to take a vote again. So votes for Councillor Brooks to preside over the meeting. So 3 in favour. And votes for Councillor Appensberger too. So yeah, I mean if obviously if there are any other nominations, but yeah, at the moment it is a split vote and we don't have a casting vote. So yeah, we'll need a resolution.
Well, can I suggest, Lauren, you chair the meeting?
I can't.
You can't.
There's a member of staff. No.
All right. Okay. I propose that Deb chairs the meeting.
Yeah. Seconder for Councillor Ray. So Councillor Pearce, Councillor Pitsey seconding. And could we have votes in favour for Councillor Ray to chair the meeting? Yeah. So Councillor Ray.
At last. At last.
Right. I'll just hand you the meeting notes, Councillor Ray. Oh, I can read it a bit.
Well, that was a bit of a mess, wasn't it? Well, the way the thing was going to go, Wendy Brooks wanted desperately to be the chair, which is okay, that's her opinion. But why did she have to put that bit at the end in about, you know, decent people? That was sort of surely taken by a member of the public like myself as meaning that any other candidate for chair isn't a decent person. It then turned out to be Councillor Elise Youngman, who's actually seems to be quite a decent person. She's always very softly spoken. She doesn't get into rows. I can't really see a problem with her wanting to be the chair. Makes it daft. But of course, what happened is the room split straight down the middle, and we've got 3 people on one side, 3 people on the other side, and clearly they're not going to agree because the 3 on one side fancy Elise Youngman to be the chair, and the people on the other side want Wendy Brooks to be the chair. Personally, her track record stinks. She's actually probably the least likely person to be in charge of a meeting because she's the one that usually disrupts it. Although I suppose maybe if she was the chair, she wouldn't be able to disrupt it. That's a good point.
7.2, to appoint the deputy chair for the Parks and Open Spaces Subcommittee. Andy,
I'd like to propose Bernie.
seconder. And a vote, please.
Against?
Abstentions.
I may not be very good at reading people sometimes, but Councillor Youngman looks pretty upset to me. So now we've had a vote to get a vice chair. So we've actually got a permanent vice chair. It's Councillor Rappensberger. That of course didn't go down very well with the Wendy camp, and only one of them bothered to put their hand up. The others abstained. A bit sad. It's too much personal. I mean, this is a parks subcommittee, for goodness sake. Why has it got to be turned into like people fighting? I mean, what goes on later on in the meeting is actually, you know, okay, it's decent stuff. But why the power fighting? You know, for goodness sake. I mean, I don't know about you, if you ever chaired a meeting, it's not exactly the best job in the world. I don't even like doing it. I can't see why people are fighting to be the chair of a parks subcommittee. It's just crazy. These people clearly just hate each other, and it's embarrassing.
Right, item 9. To consider a joint approach with the Friends of Fen Park to commemorate the deceased swan. Andy.
Yeah, this was raised by a couple of people on the Friends group. Obviously, the swan was recently attacked and wounded by a dog, and it was deep and it had to be put down. And there's been a resident pair of swans. They've been resident and breeding on that pond. I think I read recently for 9 years. They appeared about 2015, and local people have taken them to their heart. So it's more than just a deceased swan; it's their swan. Kind of, it was there, and it does mean a lot to them. And they approached, and they were seeking permissions, not funding. So I asked for it to go on the agenda for consideration. I think they want a flower and they want a plaque on the bridge. And so staff suggested that it goes on there as like a joint approach. So I'd like to propose that we accept the request, but delegate to staff to liaise with the Friends group to make sure that the plaque and the inscription are suitable and appropriate, and decide the exact location on the bridge, etc. They haven't asked for any money, so there's no budget proposal. It's just permissions, and that's my proposal.
Wendy.
Well, I was quite surprised to see this on here because it seemed like it was going to be an event. But why are they going for a flower and not just for a symbol of a swan? Because it seems to me this is about isn't it? It's about the way that a swan was attacked and died, and about protecting the swans on the pond. So I'm just wondering why the Friends group haven't chosen to have a image of a swan rather than a flower.
The plaque, I've seen a rough outline of what they want for the little plaque on the bridge, and that would have a swan engraving on it. but one of the people who asked for this to go on the agenda actually wanted to donate a white flowering shrub
Ah,
as well.
yeah,
So it's two separate things, a plaque and a flowering shrub.
Yes.
yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. That's nice.
Yeah.
Because it was so sad.
So that's my proposal.
Oh, right. Okay, seconder. Okay, Bernie, and a vote, please.
That's a bit sad, isn't it? I've not actually heard about this poor swan that got killed. But the next item continued.
10, to discuss the possible dog control measures in all parks in the wake of a recent incident in Fen Park. I think Wendy was
Yeah.
first.
Well, I was quite surprised to see this coming back to parks again, given that we discussed it fairly recently. And we are very, very limited in terms of what we can do. We can certainly do education, we can put some signs up. But given that I wanted something on the agenda and I wasn't allowed it on the agenda, I don't know why we're revisiting this idea again. So maybe can I have some clarification on that?
Andy?
Yeah. I asked for it to go on the agenda, and
Oh, that's why then.
Wendy, and you want to be chair,
Mm.
right? So I asked for this to go on the agenda. We have discussed it recently. We've discussed it in the context of play areas and fenced in play areas specifically, not in the context of open parks. So it was a fairly brutal attack, and it led to a swan dying. It could have been a toddler, just as easily. I had no fixed idea about what might be done. I fully appreciate that given the size of the Fen Park pond, which is actually a small lake, it might be very difficult. I did ask about the possibility of whether like temporary, I don't want to say fencing, I'm thinking more like barriers around, not at the water's edge, but back, might have been possible during the breeding season. I've seen the briefing paper. I understand the obstacles because you don't want to stop wildlife getting into the water. And the issue was basically, but we had a request earlier on from staff for a 3-foot barrier around the pond around footballs, but obviously that would only stop a football when it's going along the ground. It wouldn't stop one going through the air. But I've seen the briefing notes. Social media campaign, signs and leaflets, fine.
I'll leave it there because the snappy behaviour continued. Not really nasty, just sort of an undercurrent of unhappiness. But the discussion was quite useful about the lack of power to actually control dogs. There was quite a long discussion on that, and it's interesting that you've actually got a legal power where you can control dogs, but there's no actual way of enforcing it. So signage and sort of getting people to control their own dogs seems to be sadly the only real thing that the council can actually do in this sort of problem. But anyway, if you want to see the nitty gritty, watch the council video, it's all in there. But power struggles in the parks subcommittee, it's just a bit embarrassing again. They were doing so well, and this of course was sparked by poor old Wendy, and it was Wendy who sort of had lots of questions, and realistically I'm so glad that she didn't get the chair of that meeting. But sadly, now they've got some more councillors coming, the chances are that we'll have a vote where it won't be a hung one. And in the next subcommittee meeting, no doubt we will have a permanent chair. I just hope it's not Wendy Brooks, because if it is, forget your parks. She's got no clue. See you on the next video. Take care.